workplace violence, attacks on nurses. Someone brought a gun into the ER. We had a shooting 2 years ago. 3 of our ER nurses were attacked. It was just one incident after another. It is insane.
We have on now a rock star panel of guests that I am extremely excited to be talking with today. We are, and those guests are Elle Kruta, a registered nurse at Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. Kisha Montes, a registered nurse at University Medical Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. And Vanessa Villarreal, a registered nurse at Seton Medical Center, Austin, in Austin, Texas. So very exciting. And they are all in different stages of their union campaign. So we're going to be able to talk through the entire process from winning your first, winning an election, to bargaining your first contract, to bargaining a second contract, which is something that doesn't really get as much, as much airtime as maybe bargaining your first contract, but is also very important because, your employers oftentimes are going to want to try to, take advantage of any lull that they can get after you win your first contract. Like I said, really excited to be talking to these folks, and we're going to let them introduce themselves. And so let's start with Elle, or is it Elle or Ellie?
First case manager at Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. So happy to be here.
Fantastic. Yeah, tell us, and I'm sorry, you were muted for just like 1 second, but I didn't hear the correct pronunciation of your name. So if you could tell us that again, and then what kind of work you do there, and what got you involved in the union? Why was that something that you felt was, worth your time or your energy? A lot of folks, a lot of folks wouldn't want to spend the kind of time that you do doing union activity, like outside of work, right? So, it's a big commitment.
Yeah, well, I'm Elle Kruta, and so I'm a nurse case manager at Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. I got really involved in doing union work because it was so important to my family. My mom, my dad was big, huge union members. And so we really got involved in it. And once we learned that HCA was coming in to take over Mission Hospital, we knew how important it was to get a union. It's so exciting.
Kisha, what about you?
Hi, I'm Kisha Montes. I work at University Medical Center in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I work in the inpatient psychiatric unit there. We have 4 different units, about 60 beds total together. I decided to join, our union, I would say. We won our union election back in December. It's because I have seen other nurses that worked at other union hospitals and how much better those hospitals are as far as patient safety, patient care, and also for that of the nurse, and we needed that in our community because it was getting pretty rough, with staffing issues and just basic care for the patients, basic needs for them.
Right. And Vanessa, what about you?
So my name is Vanessa Villarreal. I'm a neonatal intensive care unit nurse at Seton, Maine. And, I've been a nurse for 8.5 years, almost 9. And I have seen how management and administration have fallen short on their promises to nurses and to our community. So ultimately, I just wanted to come together with my coworkers and hold them accountable. I think we've all seen how being unfair and how they can be unfair, favoritism, how toxic it is to our in our working environments. And I really wanted change.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate the introductions, y'all. And again, just appreciate y'all making some time because of the important work that you do in your day jobs. I mean, I can't imagine some of the things that y'all deal with from day to day. But I wanted to start with Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. Y'all are the farthest along in your union journey over there. There's about 1,500 nurses represented there, is my understanding. Y'all had a historic election in 2020. You've gone through the first contract cycle. I believe you're now negotiating the second contract. And throughout this whole time, it's my understanding that nurses have been really organizing and speaking out. There's been a lot of controversy about this hospital, which you just alluded to. So I was wondering if you could just kind of give us the lay of the land. What are some of the issues that y'all have been facing there at Mission in North Carolina? And what is this about HCA?
Well, as you know, we are owned and operated by HCA, which is one of the largest for-profit organizations in the country. And since they've overtaken us, our quality of care has gone down. Our staffing has decreased so much that we are bare bones. The nurses have called on regulatory oversight since 2022. 23, we joined with the North Carolina AG to help with the lawsuit against HCA. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid have come in and put us in immediate jeopardy, which we were trying to figure out. The nurses union have been very, very upfront and forward, speaking with our community to let them know what is going on at our hospital, that we're short-staffed, that our physicians are leaving, that the quality of care has gone down. Patient safety is not good. It's been an exciting time at our hospital as we're gearing up for our second round of negotiations start next week, and we're super excited about it. It's just been one thing after another. We went through the staffing crisis. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think the fact that y'all had your election in 2020 of all years, right, for nurses to organize in the year 2020 in the middle of a pandemic, and then to go through all this with the hospital itself or the for-profit, management, to such an extent that, the attorney general is getting involved. It's just really, it's a lot to deal with. And so, I really applaud y'all for continuing to organize and speak up. Like Jacob mentioned at the beginning, sometimes there's a lull after that first contract, but y'all haven't had time to rest. Y'all haven't had time to take it easy. I mean, there's just been too many issues coming at you. And so, I appreciate that. And I'm going to circle back with you in a sec to hear more about, how things are going. But I also wanted to hear from Austin. Over at Austin, Texas, Seton, Maine. There's about 800 nurses there, is my understanding. And in 2022 is when y'all had your election. It was the largest private sector nurse union in Texas. That is a huge victory. So I wanted to ask you, what's the experience been like with getting a first contract? What kind of fight did you have on your hands with getting a first contract?
So it was a big fight. We actually just ratified our first contract March 5th. And it's never ending, like Miss Elle said. Even now with our first contract, some people think that, Ascension will give us everything that we have fought so hard for on a silver platter. And, we still have to continue to fight and raise attention to the issues that we see in our hospital, so that they do, act on it. And now that we have our contract and it's in writing, we're able to hold them accountable. But, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Yes.
What were some of the things that y'all were most excited to get in your first contract?
I think one of staffing ratios or a staffing grid. Ascension was, and I think other hospitals can speak to this too, that management will do anything to cut corners and to maximize profits. And unfortunately, they choose to understaff nurses, which ultimately affects our patients and the way that we're able to provide care. So now that we have our staffing grid, we're able to come to management and hold them accountable to, keeping their word to our grid so that we're able to provide the best care that we can to our patients.
I know that's a huge issue for nurses everywhere. I know several nurses here. Huntsville Hospital is a non-union hospital, unfortunately, and maybe we're on the radio here. Maybe there are some nurses that are on their way into work, hopefully, that are listening to this, and they're hearing nurses from Texas, North Carolina, and Louisiana that have unionized, and they're talking about this. But I mean, that just if there was nothing else, right? I mean, staffing ratios are that's a huge deal when you're talking about your ability to perform your job and actually take care of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to hear about New Orleans because y'all are kind of the freshest addition. You just had a really historic win. I think actually it was the New Orleans wins that probably prompted us to reach out to the National Nurses United because we saw back in December this huge election victory. It was my understanding the first private sector unionized hospital in Louisiana, the largest NLRB election the state had held in nearly 3 decades. And so I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit just about that moment. When you realized that you were going to have a union. Could you take us back to that and just sort of tell us a little bit about how that felt?
Well, I was at work, and so they held the election at the hospital. And we all went down into this little bitty room. They wouldn't give us a bigger room. And so we all went down. It was just, oh my goodness. We marched on down into that little room, and they had some hospital representatives. They also had the anti-union law firm lady there, which we found out that was her. We kind of knew it was her. And it was just amazing to hear, yes. I mean, I think it was 82%. Right. Yes. I just never, I was like.
That's one of those moments.
Yes, it was. I have videos and everything. We did a chant outside the hospital going, union. Yeah, I have. Oh, man, that was so nice. In the South, So,
yeah.
Besides Texas, but it is just awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what are the issues that have been animating y'all in your campaign and that you're going to be really kind of zeroing in on as you prep to negotiate your first contract?
Well, for one, like Vanessa said, is staffing ratios to make it safe. Because it is not, I mean, we have charged nurses that are taking like codeines, and it is just so unsafe. Definitely supplies and definitely workplace violence, attacks on nurses. It is insane. We just recently had an incident where someone brought a gun into the ER.
Wow.
And we had a shooting about maybe 2 years ago. And then 3 of our ER nurses were attacked. I want to say week before last. It was just one incident after another. So, safety for our patients and for the staff. That is so important. I mean, a hospital has to be a safe haven. And that's what people expect when they go to the hospital and they are sick. Nobody expects violence. And those numbers are going through the roof across the whole country.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
You know, something that stands out to me in hearing from all three of you is, you know, there's this stereotype in the media sometimes about like greedy union workers and, you know, folks join unions or start unions because they're greedy, because they want more for themselves, that sort of thing. But, you know, what I'm hearing from all three of you is advocacy for the people, advocacy for the people you serve, the patients, the safety of yourselves, your coworkers, and all in the hospital, protections from violence, you know, adequate supplies, right? These are issues that affect you as a patient, right? And so I think that is one of the things that to me is most important is that we all interact with the healthcare system at some point in our lives, right? We're all patients eventually. And so that is an opportunity for solidarity. And I would love to hear about that. And that's, you know, I'm not sure which one of y'all, you know, wants to really jump in with that. But if any of y'all could talk about any of the community or labor union solidarity, did you get support from other folks in the community, whether it's in Austin or New Orleans or right now in North Carolina? Have you had that kind of support from patients and from doctors and from other labor unions? You know, have you had that community backup?
So
I think
like
definitely.
yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Elle, you first.
No, go ahead, Vanessa.
Okay. So we did have 2 strikes, and here in Austin, which it was a lot of fun. And, you know, it's just a tool that we're able to use to put pressure on management, you know, to make the right decisions. And on the strike line, there was a pilot. I met so many different community members, the electricians union. So that was really cool to see them out there on the strike line in the heat, in Texas in the middle of summer, with us, standing in solidarity with us. That was great. And, you know, and also, like in our process of unionizing, when management would make a unilateral decision, now that we were unionized, or becoming unionized, we were able to, it was really neat to see all the nurses on my unit or even across the facility come together and like stand up to management and, you know, share our thoughts with these unilateral decisions that they would make and hold them accountable. And it was so empowering to like be there with my coworkers and feel like, you know, that they couldn't do this to us anymore, and make these changes out of nowhere that make no sense. And you know how that goes. But yeah, it's just really great that, you know, that we've been able to come together, and I feel a lot stronger and a lot more safer now that I know that I have my coworkers' backs.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have my back too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, being able to stand up with your coworkers and like you said, with the community behind you and tell your boss, you can't do that to us. That's you know, how many workers in America get to do that? Not enough. So that's really cool. Elle, what about you?
Wow. In North Carolina, from the beginning, we have had the community behind us. And we've held rally after rally. We've had pickets. We haven't got to strike, which, you know, you never know. But we've never got to do that yet. But in the second contract, we've had the Senator Mayfield is one of our bigger ones. Our Attorney General has been with us, Josh Steins. I've gotten to sit at round tables with all of the community leaders from the different 18 communities, 18 counties that we serve. We've got the politicians coming out to our rallies, reaching out to us to see how they can support us, support our community, support us being more active. We've got physicians joining us now who have either retired or have been forced out of our community because of our lovely bosses. And it's just been amazing to watch the community. We even have a band that comes out and plays at our rallies. We just had a big, huge rally down in Pack Square, and that's where the AFL-CIO were holding their national convention in our community in Asheville, and they marched with us to Pack Square, and we had this huge rally down in Pack Square with everybody there. They were coming in from all over North Carolina to support us. It was amazing. We had the food workers, we had the restaurant, we had the auto industry, we had the electricians. It's just been so amazing to see how much the South really truly wants unions, and they really truly want them to protect the community, to protect the workers. And in healthcare, they're finally understanding all of the stuff that nurses have been saying for years and decades about, hey, we are here for our patients. We are here for our community. We want the best for them.
Absolutely.
And it's just been so amazing.
Well, and while we're talking to you, there's some stuff that NNU, the union that y'all are affiliated with, National Nurses United or the National Nurses Organizing Committee, that they sent to help us kind of get our feet under us as far as the context for each of you, and the HCA, the hospital corporation that you work at, Elle, has been cited for immediate jeopardy after an investigation from the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services on behalf of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that y'all are really trying to fight back against, and that's the kind of stuff that management is trying to take y'all down and is going to take the community down if y'all are y'all and the community are not able to rein them in.
Yep. That's what we're fighting for. We have some amazing staff nurses. We have an amazing professional practice committee that makes recommendations constantly, monthly, to our CNO and about safety in the hospital. And when they don't start taking us seriously, we have to report them up. And we've got no problem doing that. We are here for our community.
Yeah, can you talk to us about that that citation and some of the details there that warranted that immediate jeopardy finding?
Well, they found out that our patients in the emergency room were waiting hours and hours to be dismissed from the community EMS to get to the providers. They cited us for multiple patients that had unfortunately passed away due to delays in cares. A delay in care. It just went on and on about unsafe places, not taking care of the patients in the emergency room, not having enough staff. They cited for you name it, it was pretty much cited.
Wow. And what are some of the things that y'all are trying to fight for in this second contract that you're getting ready to negotiate now that you hope will fix some of these, I mean, very real issues?
Yeah, the second contract now, we're focusing on safety. We've got to have better grids. We need to have safe staffing. We need to have them. I mean, obviously, our hospital is for profit. They have the money. They can afford to bring in the staff to adequately staff us. So we're really fighting for safe staffing. We're fighting for our community. We're fighting for, let me just pull up our recent banner that we've just done. There's just so much. We're doing our contract negotiations right now. They start soon. Let me pull this up really quick. Our FVC. So we are trying to get, safe staffing. We want to maintain our current benefits. We would love to make our benefits better, but you know how that goes. We want to be able to have some way of enforcing them. We don't want to go
Mm.
too much into detail on the negotiations because
Sure.
we really haven't started them yet.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense.
But the
And
basics is better staffing.
yeah, right. And so, Krisha, I've seen you've had a lot of reactions to this, and so I'm wondering how you are, taking looking at other union hospitals as they're going into their they have ratified their first contract, or they're going into their second contract, and how you are taking into account their experiences to try to inform how you are going to work on bargaining your first contract.
Yes, I'm just listening to her and I'm like, wow, this is the reason what they're going for. The same thing. We haven't yet we've covered a lot of things in our first the first bargaining.
Mm-hmm.
And we meet back again at the end of this month.
Mm.
To discuss some things that's going on, but definitely the patients are coming first.
Right.
In these contracts, and I just wanted to tell her I'm so happy to see you all, your senators, everybody getting involved, because as I always say, everybody gets old and we're all going to be patients one day. So you have to start thinking, this is going to be me one day, so I love the support. We had the same kind of support with the electricians, and there was another guy, can't remember, but he did like casinos. Unions for casinos. But we had our first rally going into the bargaining, and it's just interesting how the union, how our union is helping us, guide us on things we never would have imagined to ask for patients. Even when it came to labs, we were like, wow, I didn't know that was not evidence-based, So the teaching I'm just excited. It's going to be a process, but I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Imagine giving some amount of control to the people who actually administer the healthcare in the administration of healthcare. That's a seems like it would be a common sense idea that you have people doing the work, trying to inform how the work is done. But unfortunately, it's not always that way. We are coming up on the end of the time. We don't want to keep y'all over, want to be respectful of your time. Adam, was there anything that you wanted to make sure that you asked any of them before we let them go?
Yeah, I really wanted kind of if you had anything to take away to share with non-union nurses about your experience, your journey. You've all been through, you're at different stages of this journey, but you've all been through some really hard organizing. You've had a lot of one-on-one conversations, I can imagine, with a lot of coworkers. And what would you pass along to non-union nurses who may be listening to this, especially here in the South, who may be wondering, can they really do this? Should they really do this? So yeah, I would love to hear that.
I would say go for it. Do it. It is so worth it. All of the struggles, all of the fighting, all of the talking, everything that you do, it is the most amazing thing in the world. And it's the best thing to ever happen to any of our patients and to the nurses. It's worth it. Go for it.
And like you said, you actually get to tell people how to care better for the patient. You're the one taking care of the patient. You come up with ideas and they just squash them. Before before the union, before we were, unionized. And now it's like, no, you have to listen, just taking into account things that we are telling, the uppers and administrators. Just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's some changes that we've made already. Significant changes, especially in now the things they're going to do with safety. We just had like a 2-page memo on this being done. I'm like, wow, protect yourselves. That's all I could say, and your patients.
Yes, and like Kisha was saying, accountability now is for us is like a 2-way street, not just a 1-way street, which has been great. it has been hard, it has been challenging, but totally worth it for our patients. I love being a nurse. And the way that nursing is going now, and coming home with moral injury, moral distress, it's just not sustainable the way things are going. I worked in a hospital actually on the border. That's where I first became a nurse. And I think of those nurses every day. And when I'm, doing this and fighting back to management, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think of my community and I do it for my patients. And I love being a nurse and I love what I do. And I just want all nurses to feel safe and valued and respected in our workplaces. And it starts here. And it starts, when we come together and work with each other and empower each other to, hold hospitals accountable.
I think that's a great place to end it on. We had a comment in the chat from an old retired paper mill union member here in Alabama. Said nurses are the closest thing to angels that we have here. So appreciate all of y'all, everything that you're doing. Elle Kruta, registered nurse at Mission Hospital in Asheville, North Carolina. They are bargaining their second contract now. Kisha Montes, registered nurse at University Medical Center in New Orleans, Louisiana, just won their union election, getting ready to bargain their first contract. And Vanessa Villarreal, registered nurse at Ascension Seton Medical Center, in Austin, Texas, now enforcing her first contract. Thank you all so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you all.
All right,
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Glad to do it.
Yes, absolutely. Solidarity, y'all.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.